No, Miss Brenda, we are not in health class, but we are going to talk about, things of a sexual nature in relationship to butterflies, that is. It's okay, Chuck. Don't panic. How is everybody today? Good morning. Good morning. Sorry I'm late. I was trying to wrap something. Got to turn that echo off. And right at the last minute, I had to take a small bio break. So we got that all cleared up. Mark should be in here in a second. He just called me. Want to know where I was at. So hopefully, um, he should pop in anytime. He might have had to take a break real quick. There he is. Good morning, sir.
No, there you are.
There I am. I was just a few minutes late.
I was jumping back and forth.
Sorry.
It's all
I,
right.
I was. It's
It's all good in the hood.
been one of those weeks, and I picked a really huge topic. So
I see that.
it's not. Trust me, it won't go too deep today. It's going to be more than one session. But I was trying to wrap up a couple things, and then
Good
at the
morning,
last
everybody.
minute, I had to take a short break. So
Well, that'll happen.
that'll happen, and it did, and it's good to put it
Miss
on.
Tina, I'm doing grand.
You look, you look
I
good.
work. I walked 22 miles in the hospital, measured.
That's a lot of walking in the hospital.
I know what the floor looks like in that place.
I bet you do. I started to say you probably wore a groove in the carpet, but they probably don't have any carpet. So
No, they got that fake wood looking
uh,
flooring down. And God bless Kimmer, Wyoming. There are places in the floor where it's peeled up or something, and they duct taped it down with camouflage duct tape.
well, you know what they say. Red and green says anyway. Duct tape, man's handyman's best friend, or something like that. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that.
I
I
saw him
did
make a
look good.
band out of it.
Yeah. Is it me or is the frame frozen? Well, Brenda, it must be you. Well, I don't
You're
know.
not
Is he?
you're not froze on my end.
Yeah, mine either. So it must Brenda hit reload or something.
Just
Let's
don't
see what.
just don't hold still too long.
Yeah, I've got to make sure I'm still moving, I need to put a little flag up behind me or something waving, so it's. I could probably do that with a fan. I could probably rig it up to where it sat back there and fluttered. Oh me, what looks like you've got. Well, from here it looks like you have sunshine today. Do you?
About half
Yeah,
and half.
yeah, that's about how it is here. Actually, it's getting clear here. It was rain. It rained this morning right before I got going. Good morning, Miss Diana.
Well, the wind's coming up and it's 15. So
Tina said that if the floor isn't camo, then the camo tape isn't very camo. Well, she's got a point there. But
I thought it was a nice touch.
oh, yeah, duct tape comes in handy. My favorite Red Green quote was, women can't find you handsome, make sure they find you handy. What's that, Brenda? The temperature? Brenda says, makes me glad I'm in Tennessee, but I don't know what.
Yeah, it with the wind chill, it's way below zero outside.
Oh, okay. Oh my.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
we dropped back down into the low 20s here the other night. I think our thermometer said it was 20.
And Tina's still got snow falling.
Oh well, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I mean, I guess you guys
Well,
probably had
hopefully
enough
they
of it.
needed to
Moisture.
break a drought.
Yeah,
Break a drought.
they probably needed it to break a drought. It's pretty droughty up there. I'm sure it is. I walked out. What day was that? We had somebody come by the house. Oh, it was Wednesday maybe. I walked out of here and had to go to the house to meet with the guy that was doing something for us. And Brenda says we got down to 17. Anyway, I walked out of the house. I walked that way, and when I hit the steps, I had snow, just some flakes. What's the right word? A skip of snow just falling as I went to the house, but it didn't do anything, and then it was gone. That was it. That's probably our snow for the year.
Oh, they did have a dry summer.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you do need the moisture then. She said she hates to admit it.
We do too, Tina. We have to have it.
You really do need it. Good morning, John. I didn't see him come in, but there he is.
Bucket's 30 inches ahead of last year.
I think we're about 30 inches ahead of it.
For
snowfall, really?
I bet it's awful up there.
I bet so. Diana says it's cold in Canada too.
That's what I was referring
How
to.
how can it be cold in Canada if you guys are sending all your cold air down this way? I mean, just how much cold air do you guys have up there? Are you hogging it all or what? If you'd spread some of that cold air around during the summer when we could really use it, then I'd appreciate that a whole lot more.
Yeah, when it's 90 and 90 or 90.
When it's 90 and 90, that's right. I'd love to have a little bit of that cold Canadian cold air then. But we've been sending some of our 90 and 90 up their way like the last few years, so I guess it evens out. Carol says we're expected to get more cold and snow this winter, more like the winters we used to have when I was a kid. Well, it's possible. You just don't get them near as often.
And when they show up now, it's like we're less prepared.
Yeah, no kidding. She has plenty of cold to spread around. Last week, it was above zero and raining. Today, it's -7 Fahrenheit. Oh, wow. And really windy. So what's that make the temperature? It really windy. I mean, I bet it's
cold.
Cold. Yeah. And Diana snuggle up with those dogs, Carol said. It might be a 3-dog night. They only got 2. But Walter's big enough to make up for a third one. And Tina's saying the same thing. It's old-fashioned winter tear house too. So I can't say that here. I'm sorry. I kind of almost wish I could, but I can't. The old-fashioned winters just don't happen here much anymore.
We're dry. We're dry this winter. It's been. I don't want to say it too loud, but I think we're only at 80% snowpack, not over normal.
How much?
80.
And how does that calculate into you're 80% above or below normal?
We're 80% of normal.
Oh, of normal. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty low. That big winter a couple years ago, I guess that moisture is probably all long gone. That's the problem with that. You can't keep it for years at a time.
Well, but by golly, we've got deer again. So
That's good. But
we
have you had?
we had a huge fawn crop, and we got deer running. We probably had, I don't know, 25 head in the pasture last night.
Oh wow.
One great big mongo.
Buck?
Yeah, big and
Ooh, that's good to know. There's not jeans running around.
like a 30-inch buck.
Now you guys don't have any whitetails in your area, do you?
Yeah,
Do
occasionally.
you? Do
Yeah.
you? Okay. Well, I was thinking
Pretty
that
rare.
a
We
lot
don't
of
have
them might,
we
but
don't have any grain agriculture, so it's just
yeah.
it's dry, and the habitat's limited down to the river bottoms. And I mean, we have lots of them in eastern Wyoming, but
Yeah,
out
but
here
I thought you did out
we
there.
have clusters of them out here, and everywhere there's clusters, there's hybrids running around too. So
Oh, really?
yeah, mule
So
deer.
that really is a thing.
Yeah, but
I probably knew it was a thing,
they're
but
sterile like a mule. They're not. They don't
yeah.
produce.
Do they grow antlers? Do they look like?
Oh yeah, but they. I mean, you know? You can tell the difference if you know what you're looking for.
Fork? Yeah, I was gonna say, are they like a mule deer antler
sometimes
or?
they look like a whitetail, and sometimes like a mule deer in the antlers.
Oh wow, that is confusing. And if you shoot one, it's just like a regular deer, or
The metatarsal gland is the only thing you can look at, and it's
tell them
definitely,
apart.
yeah, it's like midway on a hybrid.
Huh.
The length of the metatarsal gland.
Sorry guys, I gotta excuse me just a moment. I have had a steady. My nose has run for days. I don't know what the heck's going on. You'd think it was you think it was spring and everything was pollen, the pollen was in the air, but I don't know what it is. Anywho, did I miss anybody that came in? Let me check my chat here real quick. Oh man. But we're back up. I think we're back up in the 30s this morning, and maybe even 40. It's warmer, so we've been just like this. But it's probably about as cold as it's gonna get. Thank you, Carol, for taking care of the permission slips today.
I'm just waiting for the ball game to start.
Which game?
The Buffalo Denver game.
That's today?
Yeah.
What time is that? That's not till this afternoon, though, is it?
I think it's 2:00 or 2:30 my time. So it'll be this afternoon.
It's a ways out yet.
Later.
Yeah. I'll probably watch that game.
Jimmy and Amy are there with the kids.
Is it in Denver?
Yeah. And
wow, that'd be.
They arrived in Denver yesterday, and they had to keep my 8-year-old granddaughter from starting fights because she was wandering. She was wandering around booing at Denver Bronco fans.
Oh no. Kids, you either gotta love them or beat the crap out of them. I don't know what.
Yeah.
That's picking fights with the fans. Hey, kid, pick on somebody your own size. John says there's 2 games today and tomorrow.
Correct.
So are these wild card teams?
Playoff games now.
Yeah, I know, but did these two both come in as wild cards, or did somebody
No,
I'm sorry.
Denver didn't.
Okay.
Buffalo did, but they're out of that.
Okay.
They're out of
I
that.
thought one of them did.
We're getting down to the wire here.
Yeah, I watched a little bit last week.
John.
Who what?
Oh, he's the one that said there's 2 games today and tomorrow.
Yeah, John did. I watched a little bit. I did watch a little bit last week. And when's the Indiana game? Monday night. The college final. Indiana and Miami is this weekend sometime. That's the final college game of the year.
It's done, dude.
When they play?
It done happened.
Indiana done played Miami?
Yeah, whoop the snot out of them. Or I dreamed it.
Well, I expected them to do that. Well, I heard somebody talking about it last
weekend, I think. Yeah, Indiana's the Hoosiers did it, man. IU, Miami, Monday.
Yeah, I can't. Do what? Monday? It's Monday.
Oh, they whooped the Oregon was who they were playing.
Oregon, big time. I think this game's Monday.
Yeah, John just said it's Monday.
Okay, thank you, John. I thought so. I wasn't sure, but I thought so. Yeah, they beat the crap out of Oregon, which I didn't expect, but I have to admit, I think I'm going to root for. Well, I can't stand Miami. I never have liked Miami, so I'll be rooting for Indiana. But I really think they probably ought to win it. They are really good this year, and they were pretty good last year, I guess. But they've never won a national championship. I'm not sure they've ever even been close to playing for one. So it's I'd like to see them win it. I probably shouldn't say this. Lightning may strike, but if Miami never won another game, I wouldn't care. I couldn't care less. I don't know. I got a real bad taste in my mouth for them years ago, and I still don't like them. When Jimmy Johnson was their coach, he just ruined them for me. But that's just me. He was still their coach when they played Tennessee, and I don't know if it was the championship year, but they were playing in the Sugar Bowl, and they were playing for us back before they had playoffs, and they were supposed to, if they won out, they thought they'd be champions, and they were just in the press, they were just all about how Tennessee was a bunch of hicks and couldn't play football. They didn't have a chance, and they were going to, it's going to be a big score, and they were going to win and all that. And he just kept going on and on about that. And they got to the game, and Tennessee whooped them bad. It was kind of like they got pissed off and said, okay, enough of that crap. But anyway, I didn't like him when he went to Dallas either. But again, that's my opinion. It's never good. Guys, his hair was just something about his hair just didn't suit me. He looked too much like a used car salesman I've seen something in my life. Anyway, I probably shouldn't go down that road.
Oh my!
It's all purely a personal thing. It's not anything, I don't tend to like people like that much. Their new coach ain't much better either, to be honest. I didn't know it, but I guess the guy at Indiana worked under Saban at one time for a while.
He did.
So I guess, his defense, I guess, is a lot like Saban's defense. Was not is. He's fired. But so maybe that explains some of it.
Yeah, now, isn't he, Saban?
Huh?
I think he's broadcasting now.
Yeah, he's just doing that and selling insurance or something with the duck, whack whack. That guy, he's in those commercials and
And the
and
Verbo.
or Verbo too. Yeah, I have to admit those are kind of funny. They show up at 5 minutes till, and he said it's only for 2:55, and he said, yeah, check into 3. It's just 2:55.
No showers longer than 5 minutes. This is not a spa. And the gal laughs and he goes, no, it's a rule.
It's a rule. It's right here. It's a rule. It's a rule. You can't break a rule. I mean, that's kind of like when the bell rings, you got to go in, even if your best friend's stuck to the flagpole.
And my son-in-law, my oldest son-in-law, he never liked the man because, he's a Mississippi boy. And,
right.
But he'll always, a guy that came out of like coal mine country in West Virginia, I think he did pretty good for himself.
Yeah, he did he showed pretty well when he got, he's, I don't think you could argue he's a pretty good football.
He was great. He was great.
Whether you liked Alabama or anybody else he's coached coached for, he did a pretty good job.
He did things every now and again that I didn't agree with.
Well, speaking of that, and since you brought it up, I didn't bring it up, mind you, but since you brought it up, what's he think about what's he think about Kiffin leaving down there and heading over to LSU?
Oh, he can't stand the man.
He's got a bad habit of leaving a really bad taste in people's mouths. In my view. I love it. I'm so happy about that. Nothing against Jimmy. It is Jimmy. No, it's John.
No, it's John.
John, yeah, nothing against John personally, but I'm glad he got to get the whole Kiffin experience.
He didn't sneak out in the middle of the night this time.
No, he didn't do that this time, but he did kind of dump them right in the middle of their, a big run. I mean, they were doing pretty good, and I think they would have probably done better if their head coach had been there. Not that they didn't do pretty good, but that just makes a difference. It just changes things, and I don't know.
Well, I think the guy they've got now is gonna. He showed that he can lead.
Yeah, no doubt. He's and I think they did a good job, all things considered. I'm just saying it's hard when a head coach leaves these days in college football. I don't know, did everybody play? Because half the time, once the head coach is gone, half of them don't play anymore.
I don't know.
They just say, "Oh, we're going in the portal, or we're going whatever." I'm going to say this once, and I promise to try not to say it again, but I think that whole portal thing's ruined college football.
It's working on it.
Yeah, well, I'll say it that way, but it's definitely on an ugly course, I think. But so be it. Oh, me. Let me go ahead and open this up because this is going to be, I'm going to be a little bit in. Oh, I forgot to add something in the show today. And there's three. Yeah, I'll leave that in there because it's going to leave. Hang on a minute. Let me fix something. I got a couple of blank cards in there, and I don't need them up there. Confuse me right in the middle of everything. I'm confused. I stay confused enough as it is.
That's just Tim was.
Boink. That's just what? Oh, he hear me whistling?
Penny came running over.
Penny did. Sorry, Penny.
What's going on?
Who's calling me? Who's wanting me over here? Oh me.
You're a
I've
good
been
guy.
playing with my
You're a good
I've been playing with my screen a little bit. You can't tell it so much because I've got it probably too full. But yeah, that's my squirrel hunting picture. That's the in the background. That's that Burl and Ive squirrel hunting picture. I don't know if you remember. I showed it a long time ago. I could probably pull it up again. But I put that in the background, and then I've been playing around with the. I figured I ought to put a bear with a cup of coffee in there. Somehow that fits. Brenda's practicing bread baking. She has made several loaves of bread, but bless her heart, she can't quite get what she's wanting. She's wanting something special, and so far, I mean, what I've had, I thought was pretty good. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but she's trying to reach nirvana, I think. So when it happens, it'll be some kind of good bread. I'll tell you that, because she's working hard on it.
We've got a machine,
Yeah.
but we also have altitude, and it that buggers everything up. How long it takes to boil water, everything.
What? How does that affect your bread? Does it not make it rise, or does it rise too
Well,
much? Or
it rises fine, but then it just doesn't. It doesn't want to cook properly once it.
oh, it probably takes too long and burns on the
So,
outside, and don't get done
so
in the
the
middle.
so
There's a
Shauna's been making the dough in the machine and then cooking the bread in the oven, and that's been working perfect.
oh, okay. The Brenda says she's been feeding the crows the bread. She's been feeding the crows the bread. She told me the crows were tearing up that bread. I got you. I don't know if you remember, but when we
No,
bought this
you're gonna
place,
have coons and possums and everything else too.
if you remember, I had a.
You might have you might get to see your bear.
I'm hoping. I really am. You know, I can't remember now. I always pronounce. I may have pronounced this wrong my whole life, but you remember our walk-on rock that we had up in the
Yeah,
walk. Well,
yeah,
we've got one. I've got one out here where when I saw that wood stove heater that was hooked up to the house,
right.
and that guy took it away. Well, he left the concrete pad, which I told him to. So now I've got a little concrete pad out there outside the garage or the kitchen window a little ways. And I took a bunch of stuff we had left over from, I guess, Christmas dinner maybe. And I put it out that we just scraps, and I put them out there on that. And I noticed that got cleaned off pretty good, but I didn't see any critters.
The
And
dogs probably got it from the neighbors.
well, that's possible. Well, that's interesting. You should say that. We've got all these dogs around here. I've never seen one up here near my yard ever. I don't know if they got word that I might shoot at them or what, but yeah, I just have had no dogs. I've really found that to be a little odd out in the country. I'm glad people are taking care of their animals. Don't get me wrong. Now they don't. The doggy daycare people over there, Larry and his wife, they keep all theirs in pens anyway because they raise them till they're a certain size, then they take them out for adoption and do that kind of stuff, send them around the country and various places, and they do good work for that. I don't know how they're our age, maybe even older, and I don't know how the hell they keep up with it, to be honest, but they stay at it. But they got a bunch of good looking pups over there again right now. But anyway, they keep all theirs, in their fenced in yard, so that's not an issue. And the people down here have got a couple of yappy dogs that bark and get out, but they never leave the yard. So I don't know if they've got a invisible fence around it or what, but they don't seem to ever get out of the yard. Hey, good morning, Don. Hitchhiking Bones. How about that?
How's,
How are things
how's
in Texas?
Texas?
Do what?
I just asked the same question. How are things in Texas?
Yeah, cam. We could put we could put a critter cam up. Brenda's saying we should do that. Actually, I need to put something out there. I wouldn't mind I can get we can get an infrared security type camera. I could put it out there. I should do that probably just to see I'd like to see what comes out there, because if I really was to start bringing the 4 foot critters in for worship every night to eat at the Rock, I wouldn't be too surprised if we didn't get a bear in here sooner or later, unless they've just got plenty of other places to eat around here, which is possible too. Hey, Jason Thibodeau, excuse me. I always want to put that R in there, and I apologize. I don't know why. I don't know where I get that. But anyway, I've been watching. We've been putting stuff out there, and then she puts bread out there, and she said the crows just love that. I didn't realize that she was seeing crows doing it during the daytime. If I'm up here, I don't see her put them out because they're on the other far end of the house. But we're doing our part to, keep the critters disturbed and moving around. So I won't be surprised if we get something through here. I have heard that there have been bears spotted now in Hawkins County in the past 12 months. I don't remember exactly what the dates were.
You remember what happens to fed bears?
They die. So I'm not trying to feed bears. I'm just not going to be surprised. Honestly, if I saw a bear coming to it, I'd quit putting anything out. I wouldn't do it because I don't want that. Fed bears or dead bears. I think I had a bumper sticker on my truck that used to say that. And it's the truth. It's bad. I mean, that's just how it is. It never leads to anything good. I mean, look at that's a whole. I have to talk about that sometime. All the bear feeding they used to do out at Yellowstone, and I don't know if they ever actually did it here in the Smokies like they did at Yellowstone or other parks, but they certainly got enough along the roadway to make up for it down here for a long time. People have gotten pretty good about that, though.
They're still acting like idiots in Yellowstone.
Well, and there's still idiots here too, but I don't think it's as bad as it used to be.
Well, and the thing about Yellowstone was there was a big dump.
Right, and and they had bleachers there.
And if you wanted to go see grizzly bears, you'd go to the dump at Yellowstone. You'd see a lot of grizzly bears.
I do, Tina, and I'm going to. I've been thinking about that, and that's on my list. I put that down, I think, last week when we were talking. That was one of the things I wrote down, that I needed to do a thing about not just species of bears, but bear conservation a little bit. They at Yellowstone, they actually had bleachers set up for the guests, the campers or whatever, to go sit and watch them feed. It's kind of like that movie, The Great Outdoors, John Candy, where he took the kids to the dump to watch the bears, and they ended up being more or less almost in his truck with him, or his car, whatever they were driving.
We had a big felid visit us last weekend, I think it was. I found the tracks. Maybe it was a weekend before.
I'm surprised the dogs didn't go nuts.
Well, they're skulking about in the dark when the dogs are in the house.
You'd think though there'd be, that's probably the key, that they're in the house.
Well,
you'd think the scent would be around.
Snow and blowing, and I found a couple good sets of tracks and
pug marks.
They're down hanging out with their victuals.
I've been reading I've been reading some more African hunting stories, and that, all them big game hunters refer to those as
Pug
pug marks.
marks. Yep.
So I was thinking about pug marks.
It's a pretty good one too.
Yeah, I know. You showed it to me in the snow. It looked pretty good size. In case you didn't catch that, he's got a mountain lion wandering around out there, which is not too surprising. And it may have passed through and be long.
Happens every year.
Oh, I know. It's not unusual.
When the deer come down, they follow them. So.
Well, that's good. Yeah, true. Or they could have wandered right on through your valley into the next one, for that matter, or your area to the next. They could be wandering about looking for territory or whatever, or just following the deer down.
But then you don't dare tell your neighbors like there's a cat, because every yellow Labrador and magically turns into a mountain lion. And
isn't that something how that happens? Okay, guys. So thanks to somebody suggest. I think thanks. This may turn out to be so big I can't handle it, but somebody suggested that we talk about pollinators, and butterflies was another topic that came up. So I just decided I'd do this, and I'm going to confess two things. One, that's a big deal. There's a lot of them. And two, I've had a couple of things going on this week that got me sidetracked, so I didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted to. I'm looking for a note I made. Then Phil called me yesterday, and so I'll talk about it a little bit more in a few minutes. Well, I might as well do it now. I may not be on next week. Phil's called me yesterday on the phone and said, "Hey, what do you think about this crazy idea?" And he's wanting me to ride to Florida with him and back next week to go to a 24-hour automobile race they have at Daytona every year called the 24 Hours of Daytona. And we've never gone to that. And Phil and I used to do a lot of that kind of stuff. We used to go to a lot of motorcycle races and some car races. And this one's pretty special, and I think I might go. So we're gonna see. If I do, go.
I think you should not might go. I think you should go.
Well, I'm planning on it. I'm trying to work out some details.
Carpe diem.
Carpe diem. That's right. And I haven't been to a race in several years now. I'm really and Phil and I haven't got to do anything like that together in several years. And we used to do 2 or 3 a year, and so it's gotten kind of old. But I mean, not going, and he's gone to a few things with other people and by himself, so I've missed out on some of that. So anyway, this is a big deal if you're into sports cars, which is kind of what I grew up driving. And actually my first car was a Triumph TR4 convertible that I bought used from a guy in Jonesboro, sitting in his driveway, and it was painted. It's painted that off color red that used to be primer. Everything used to be primered that color, and
kind eventually of a Catlinite color.
Kind of a Catlinite color, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And I drove it around like that for 2 or 3 years, and then I finally painted it. And Brenda got to ride around in it for a while, and then eventually I did sell it because I just didn't have time to keep it going and work on it. I wish now I had it. I'd like to have restored it, but anyway, I think it was a 62 or a 63. I can't remember the year model. I got a picture of it somewhere, a picture of one just like it. Anyway, I moved to Florida in 1975 to go to A&P school, aircraft school. And back then, the school, all the maintenance related parts of that school, back then it was mostly a school for pilots and a school for mechanics, and then there was a few things kind of added in there. Now it's a great big huge university, and that's just a little part of it apparently. But my classrooms were in a Quonset hut that was located right up against, I mean, almost literally right up against the the hillside that they created down there to make Daytona Speedway inside it. So they banked it up, and they, of course, had to pile millions of tons and yards of sand, up to make that hill, because the hills don't exist there. But we were right up against that. So when this race happened down there, I was down there a couple years when this race happened, and this particular one, and they'd be out there all night long, 24 hours, and I sat there and I always wanted to go, and I never had any money to go back then, and so I haven't gone back to go to this one. We've talked about it. We have been to the 10. We've been to a 10-hour race, or 12. It might have been 12 back then, called the Petit Le Mans. Le Mans is 24-hour race in France. This one is the 24-hour race here, but there's a 10-hour race in Georgia, and we've been to that a time or two, or at least once. And that was a long race, so I'm kind of interested. This is going to be a really long race, so we'll see. If I do, well, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So I won't be on unless I do a live stream. And they've got, I was looking up something. Apparently, the Speedway now has a guest Wi-Fi system. So if I can hook up to their Wi-Fi and I can broadcast from down there, I might do a little bit Saturday morning on the road show just for the heck of it. And so we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to take my gear. I'm going to try to give it a try. I'm going to see if I can do it. But in fact, I don't know what time the race starts Saturday. It might be more of a driving in the car to get to the racetrack, and then you can see what all goes on for that. Phil and I used to go to Daytona Beach every year in March for the motorcycle event, and there was this group of people down there, and we sort of nicknamed them the men who say no, because every time we wanted to do something, drive here, park here, go through this gate, do this, there was always a grouchy old man, a grouchy who I've become, standing there saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't drive this way. No, you can't park here. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. And we figured that they had training, and the whole training was about how to say no in 40,000 different ways. And so I'm sure we're going to run into some of the men who say no. And there's actually women who say no also. Which could be kind of funny. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's going to be a thing. And he just called me yesterday out of the blue. He was driving home from grocery store. Said, I just had the craziest idea, and you won't believe this. And I said, you want to go to Daytona for the 24-hour race, don't you? And he said, how the hell did you know? I said, because I thought the same thing the other day, but I didn't think you'd want to go. So we were both thinking about it, I guess. And anyway, that's probably going to happen. So next week is iffy. But if I'm down there and I'm able, if I'm able, I'll be there. If I'm able, I'll try to do something live, and I'll send you a link. You can set in on it. You can, because it'll be fun. If nothing else, me and Phil will be on the road again. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So that means that there won't be a.
You need to go in there disguised as somebody from the press.
I should.
Carry your microphone. This is Tim Pruitt reporting from.
And look here what my wife says.
It will be great for her.
Thanks. She told me that I wouldn't.
Here he goes, Mama Pruitt.
Carol, it will be fun. We haven't gone off on I've been out with Mark, and we had a big adventure. I haven't been on a big adventure with Phil in 3 or 4 years now. And we used to do a couple of motorcycle trips a year. We we did a lot of stuff. Funny thing about we used to go to Motorcycle Week in March, and we never rode our motorcycles because we weren't going to trailer them down there like everybody else did. And usually we were on a time crunch, and so we usually had to get there and then get back. And if you're going to ride a bike down to Pruitt, sounds like a good old racing name. I kind of wish it had been, John. So we didn't usually ride that. Phil was ridden down when he was going solo, but a time or two. But it's a long ride down. That's not a problem. It's just always in the winter, which could have meant bad weather, which also is not necessarily a showstopper. But it was just that it takes so long to get there and then so long to get back. And it was just, we can get in the car and go and not stop. And on a motorcycle, it's harder to do that. But anyway, I'm going to Daytona. And we'll see if I can send up a signal from there. If I can, I'm going to do it. Even if I have to even if I have to send it with smoke. Anyway, so now let's get on with the show. So we're going to talk about butterflies. And to talk about butterflies is no small task. I'm going to tell you, it is a lot. There's a lot of them. I don't know. Let me see if I may have not made this slide. There's our usual stuff. Hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and leave a comment. Algorithms and all that stuff. And go hunt rabbits with your bow and arrow. Actually, I thought I had changed that. I got to find the new one. I had something in there. I forgot that. I had changed that to a squirrel hunting story. I need to find that again. So one of the things, we're going to talk about pollinators some one day, and butterflies fall into that, but in usually a more specific way, because they tend to be very narrowly focused on certain plant species, which is important to know because that has a lot to do with how they live and die and all that stuff. But they are amongst the pollinator group, which makes them important because they're natural pollinators. I always hate to add that, but everybody thinks about bees. Everybody thinks about honeybees when they think about pollinators, but honeybees are not even native here, so they weren't always our pollinators. Butterflies, woods bees, rockstone bees, carpenter bees, all kinds of other bees, flies of various and sundry types. I mean, all those critters were our real pollinators. And so butterflies play a role in that. And they play a role in some other things, of course. They have been the monarch, which is probably the most famous butterfly that we have, or that we think about, is because it makes that great migration down to Mexico and back, or northern South America, which is something I've never looked into. And Mark might know this, but I wonder if South America has a migrating butterfly population. I don't know if that's unique to the North American continent with the monarchs or not. Do you know?
I don't.
I've never studied it enough, I guess.
I don't know that they don't have them in Eurasia and Africa too.
Well, yeah. I was going to get there. I hadn't got to that part. John said like his neighbor. Is your neighbor Truex, John? I mean, I know him because I just know Truex raced NASCAR. I don't know if he's ever run the 24. Some of the NASCAR drivers, Dale Earnhardt and a bunch of others, used to go this race every year just so they could say they ran it. And they'd usually be driving something that Chevrolet had in the race because that's what they were usually, that was their major sponsor. Or General Motors. He grew up. Oh, did he, John? I didn't know that. Well, that's interesting. I've been to Dover, John, a couple of times we raced at Dover. This is back when I was in my in my gunfighter period. Back in my NASCAR period when I was traveling with the team, we went to Dover. A couple. That's a strange and interesting racetrack. That's before they made it concrete. And yeah, I know you don't live in Delaware, but you're not that far away from it because I was in school and well, I thought New Jersey, but I may have to back off. Maybe I was actually in the edge of Delaware anyway. But anyway, so let's move on here. Let's go to, and I thought I'd start this out by talking about, well, some general. There's so many beautiful varieties of butterflies in North America, it is hard to list them all, and equally hard to pick out the ones to show. So I just started down the list. I'll just tell you that right now, and that's why it's going to take me a little while to do this, but that'll give me something to do if I have a brain fade and I can't think of a show. I'll continue on with the flutterbys. So there are going to have to be several shows about this year. Part one, we'll discuss the megafauna of the butterfly world to me, which is basically the swallowtails, of which the monarch is one of, I believe. There's a couple, and there's two subfamilies or subgroups of swallowtails: the true swallowtails and the Parnassians, if I think that's pronounced. And there's 3 Parnassian species and 37 species of swallowtail. Hey, Dean the Turkey Lexter, welcome in, buddy. So anyway, we've got 3 species of Parnassians and 37 species of swallowtails, and that's not even touching all the other species that are in that list. Man, that you go to Wikipedia and just pull up butterflies, and you get a big old long list. North American butterflies, you get a big old long list. So it's kind of cool how that works. But so a little bit more about swallowtails. They're in the I had Papilionidae. Again, that damn dead language I can't speak. Pardon me. Is all the swallowtails. They're the largest butterflies in North America. Not sure about in other places. At Disney World, they got those that are a whopping 12 inches or a foot, or even a whopping, a foot wide or a whopping 12 inches, as they say. That are the ones on the Jungle Cruise. So those are supposed to be in the rainforest of South America, but I'm not sure if they are. But these are our biggest. They're 2.5 to 6.5 inches. Which is a pretty good sized butterfly, which I've never seen one that big. And then there's about 600 species worldwide and about 31 species in North America. And each one of those species is subdivided into just gobs and gobs and gobs of butterflies. And all swallowtails have tails on their hind wings except for the Parnassians. And why I'm really surprised that the Blenderball just haven't moved that into a whole nother group now. I don't even know why they're still listing them in the swallowtail group, since they don't have swallowtails. They fly slow. They glide a lot. When disturbed, they can move pretty strong. None of them are real fast, unless you're a kid trying to catch them, and then they are. They feed on various flowers, dung, and urine. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And males like to puddle on damp ground. Most male swallowtails locate females by patrolling. In other words, they're just like men. They want to go cruise around the Shoney's or the Dairy Queen and see if the girls are hanging out there in their cool cars. At least that's what we did when I was growing up. That's how they found mates if they weren't in school, or partners. The eggs are round and usually laid singly on different kinds of host plants. And that's the really important thing about a lot. Blenderball, let me explain that, Tina. Since the discovery of, or the ability to look at DNA and that sort of thing by, under a microscope, Mark and I kidded about it. He probably told me this term, honestly. But once they were able to throw things into that down to that level, they've started subdividing all kinds of things that we grew up like. We grew up with black rat snakes. Well, heck, they don't even classify that as a black rat anymore. Most people call it a gray. And then they're divided out. They've just subdivided subspecies into things, and some whole new species that for a long time we thought were one species. And it's all because they can get down and look at that micro level of what they are. So I call them blender biologists, but they probably wouldn't appreciate that. But that's what it amounts to. Once you can get down to that level, chop everything else up, get rid of all the bits and pieces, and get down to the DNA. They can look at it now and see what the genotype is, or the phenotype, or whatever, and they can break them down into subgroups, and that's what some people do. Hey, good morning. Monarch Miracles has joined us. Speaking of butterflies, there you go. How are you today? How's California? Well, that's just, I mean, that's how it is, Tina. I mean, we started out lumping things back when we were still in the cavemen. We had big animals that we ate and big animals that ate us. That's kind of the two divisions. and then over time we started saying, oh, but there's three different kinds of saber-tooths over here that eat us, and two kinds of things we eat over here. So we started dividing them up and making lists. And this whole idea of naming species and subspecies and stuff was always a big deal in some areas. Fish people were really big about this, because once they got in there with microscopes, even before DNA, they could look at teeth and they could examine jaws and they could count fins, maybe rays on a fin, or I mean, they were always finding new things to name a subspecies or a new species of fish.
Lateral
say that again.
Lateral line scales.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah, exactly. And so, when I had ichthyology, which is the study of fish, in college, my professor said, "Oh, Monarch Miracles is not who I thought it was. I thought maybe that was." I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, I'll move on. Anyway, but now it's become a bigger thing, and more people are into that splitting and dividing, and to me it's confusing sometimes, because I learn things. This is this and this is that, and now they've figured out that, well, this is not really that, because it's it's sort of this over here, and it's all because they can look at it at such a higher level now than they used to be able to. And that's what some people really enjoy and get into. So I can't knock it. I just don't, sometimes it's confusing. But anyway, that's what I meant by blender biologist. Pardon me for maybe that's too crude, but Mark knew what I meant. I know. So I was talking about their eggs and the plants they lay their eggs on. That's really a big deal for these different kinds of butterflies. We know milkweed, for example, is really important for certain monarchs or certain swallowtails, and or for the monarch butterfly in general. And then there's other things. I didn't know this till yesterday. One of these butterflies that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, it lays their eggs. What's the word, Mark? Deposited, or whatever. They lay their eggs on pawpaw trees.
Cool.
And they lay them, on the fruit or the leaves of a pawpaw. I didn't know that. Pawpaw is one of my favorite trees in the whole wide world, and just because. And I didn't know they did that. I didn't know there was anything that's only and as far as I know, that's all they lay their eggs on. So pawpaws are getting more important to me all the time. So anyway, then we'll start into the Parnassians a little bit, since there's only three, and that has nothing to do with the Kardashians up in New York. But we'll start out with this first guy. I'm going to say this Claudius Parnassian sounds like a Roman emperor, or Parnasius Claudius. And you can kind of see that it's got a little bit different wing. It doesn't have that characteristic swallow tail. It's a white butterfly found in the United States and Canada. It's a member of the snow Apollo genus, which I have to believe has to do with their color. I don't think you see them in the snow. They're in the swallowtail family at large, and they tend to be from 0 to 7,000 feet, Mark. So you probably don't see these guys. They don't get up they're right below your level up there. They might get up in Colorado, but they don't make it down to you. But you can get an idea. We've got several examples. We've got a male and a female on the ground, and they look by and large the same. And that's what, if you look at this, you know, at one time somebody might have thought these are two different butterflies, and now we figured out, well, one's a male. The female only has one, at least the orange spot at the bottom is more prominent than the one up here, but on the male you can see them pretty clearly, and there's other differences too, obviously, but that's just one example. And all these butterflies on the right are basically that same butterfly. Again, these are subspecies of a subspecies, or subspecies of a family group. Clade, maybe it's a clade at that point. No, it's below that. So I think it's family. You can tell I've been out of school for a few years. I can't remember all this stuff good. The next one I was going to talk about was the Parnasius eversmanni. And you can see where he's at. He is Alaska. Now, some of these critters go in other countries, but so I've got them. What I'm trying to talk about are the ones that come to North America, Canada, and up into Mexico. And if they do that, they usually get up into Texas and Florida. And up here, this is a butterfly that's found in Siberia, eastern Russia, eastern China, and it gets into Alaska. It comes all the way down the Alaskan chain into Canada, or the coastline. I mean, not chain. And so you can, and all these different species, subspecies, get into or divided all through that, but they're all part of the same group. And the wing patterns on these is inconsistent, and very many subspecies and forms make identification problematic and uncertain until the invention of the electron microscope and the blender. And you can find structural characteristics. This is where you had to have everybody. I hope everybody's got their card signed, their slip, because we're going to talk about just a tiny bit here about and wing pattern. I lost my place. Structural characters derived from the genitalia, wing venation, sparagus, and formidable epiphysis or more, but not entirely reliable. In other words, it's hard to tell. So most of the time, if I see one of these, I'm probably going to say, oh, that's one of those Parnassian butterflies, and not try to break it down which one it is exactly. But they're all pretty in their own way. This one actually, to me, looks more like a moth it's got more of a hairy body. Not hairy, but that kind of feathers. And I think it's kind of cool down here at this open area of the male. You can see that it's just got that, it looks tufted or something. It's cool. And then the last Parnassian that we've got anyway is this Phoebus. And you can see, I mean, they're all similar. They've all got orange and black and various patterns, but they're very similar. Again, but these are all a northern tier of butterflies. So just so you know, butterflies go up into the Arctic. Some of them, And that's really hard for me to imagine that they're up in that kind of cold weather, at least part of the year. And I didn't go into this to study because I didn't have time. But I'm sure these butterflies are very specific on what they feed on up there too, because one, there's just not that much up there. You know, you got a certain kinds of grasses or flowers or forbs or mosses, you know, and that's all you got. Any species that lives in the Arctic is usually pretty specific. Uh, you know, grizzly bears roam the Arctic because they're looking for seals mostly. And seals used to be in the pack ice, and seals would come up the hole and the breathing hole. And, you know, the polar bear walks from Russia to Alaska to find the right breathing hole, and he catches the seal. Butterflies may be kind of moving around the same way. I don't know, but they've got to be pretty hardy little buggers to live through the Arctic winters. And this is the list of the swallowtail variety of this butterfly. And see, I'm not going to, how many there are in there. I'm going to get down to, oh, I missed something here. I wish I'd gone one more. The queen swallowtail is about as far down the list as I got. Again, I've had other things going on. So next time I'll be starting with the Appalachian tiger swallowtail. I should have got to that one. I didn't catch that when I was working on. I just finished working on this a few minutes ago. But anyway, this is how many there are. The 37. And that's just an example. And you can see the characteristic tails on the back of their wings. They're not really tails, but they look like tails that make these guys swallowtails. Some of them are much more elaborate than that. So let's talk about the pipevine swallowtail. Batis, I'm going to say this wrong, I'm sure, but Batis or Batis philonor. What I think is really cool about these guys is the variation in the caterpillars that they produce. You've got a couple different, again, subspecies or subvarieties of this guy. And there's some mimics I'm going to talk about in a minute. But this is a butterfly that lays its eggs on a very specific plant. And it does that because the larvae, as they develop out of the egg and turn into a caterpillar, feed on that specific plant. The key to that is that plant has a toxin in it, or at least a chemical makeup that once it's in the caterpillar's body turns into a toxin. And that's how this caterpillar or the butterfly protects itself, probably more in the caterpillar stage. In other words, nothing wants to eat it. It tastes bad. Thank you, Carol, for posting that. Oh, and they raise monarch butterflies. Well, by all means, throw anything you'd like to in the chat, because I am not a butterfly expert. I'm just talking about them. We still have monarchs we're taking care of over the winter because they couldn't fly south. He or she didn't say south. That's cool.
Yeah, monarchs taste like
not good.
Not good. Also, and viceroy butterflies mimic monarchs so that they don't get eaten.
Right, and I've got some others that mimic these guys, that mimic the pipevine swallowtails. They do the same thing, and I'll talk about them just in a second. But you can see some of the characteristics of the male and the female in these two pictures. I believe this is female and this is a male. This is a dorsal view, and you can see mostly they vary a little bit. Mostly dark on that one, and the tops of these wings are more dark. They're showing this from a side view or not really an anterior view, but you can see the colors. The colors aren't the same on their back. The dorsal is the top or their back. Usually in birds and fish, dorsal is the back, and you know, what I said before is the front. But you can see how they lay their eggs on the plants, and then you can see the various different kinds of caterpillar. I mean, this caterpillar right here just sings danger, danger, danger. Look at how red he is. Nothing's going to want to eat that. And this guy down here with this orange, bright red spot, bright orange, that's kind of like a safety orange.
That's where your cursor's over the butterfly photos.
Say again? Oh, my cursor's
over the butterflies, not the larvae.
Oh, well, I'm just, okay, I wasn't paying attention. I was talking. But you can see these spots down here. And this big red guy up here, I mean, he's kind of angry looking just by himself.
You're circling the butterfly again.
Am I?
Yeah. Your cursor's right in the center of the screen.
That is so strange because over here I'm circling the okay, well, I'm going to have to work
there you go. Now you're on.
This is it. And you can see the coloration. On my screen over here, I swear I was circling the caterpillar. So it's off. I didn't know that until just now. So thanks for pointing that out.
But that red one at the top, it's like, yeah, you don't.
They only feed on plants that belong to the Aristolochi plant family, which is again, they're known for sequestering acids from those plants, and that's how they defend themselves from predators. So they have to have those plants to survive. I didn't look up those plants right now. I didn't have time again, but they're very specific. And again, those plants are important. And that's where we run into all the just questions about insecticides and pesticides and what it does to this and what it does to that. And, you know, when the guy sprays his soybeans to keep bugs off of them, he's not thinking about butterflies. He's thinking about things that eat soybeans. Butterflies don't eat soybeans. But they may be a accidental fatality of that sort of thing.
Collateral damage.
By killing milkweed, for example, you can destroy out whole areas of swallowtails that only eat milkweed or lay their eggs on milkweed. This butterfly, this is a good example. There's been citizen-led efforts on the West Coast trying to save these butterflies because of that very issue. I don't know if there's a formal program at this time or not. Butterfly is, however, a special concern in Michigan. Carol, I put that in there for you. So this is a butterfly that ranges all across North America. Doesn't get up in the corner where Mark's at. Imagine that. But it goes across the lower Canada to the East Coast and along the southern part of the United States. So they're pretty widespread. Now, these guys, look at those pictures for a moment. Look at the image. Look at the image down here. This one with the dorsal view where it's mostly black, but it's got this iridescent area right in, this center area part. Look at that. And now look at these. These are the mimics. All three of these butterflies mimic those Parnassian butterflies to avoid being eaten. This red spotted purple butterfly at the top, which is a swallowtail, it's got that iridescent in the middle and it's mostly black on top. It's trying to, and that black is more iridescent than it looks like in this image. And I'm not over it, am I? Or, yeah, maybe I am. And this one's got the orange or red spots on the underside like the other one did, the other Parnassian. But these guys don't feed on the same plant, so they don't have that poison toxin, so that's why they have developed a mimic, so nothing eats them because they look like they're poison. They're a milkweed species lover of some sort. I can't remember. Let's see if it tells. Like red spotted purple butterfly, female eastern tiger swallowtail, and eastern black swallowtail butterflies, and a couple others. And the spicebush swallowtail use the pipevine swallowtail as a template for mimicry. Let me see if it tells anymore. This is called Batesian mimicry. They're distasteful. That's about all it says. There's millipedes that do the same thing. There's millipedes that don't mimic this, but they have the same acidic byproduct of what they eat, and they actually release hydrogen cyanide when they're in danger. So, probably not something you probably ought to wash your hands. I don't know how poisonous hydrogen cyanide is to people, but I doubt if it's really good for you. I mean, it's cyanide after all. But there are different kinds of cyanide.
But it's all natural. It's all natural.
It's all natural. That's right. It's all natural. Monarch Miracle says, we have raised a few
commercials. It's all natural. And it's like, yes, so cyanide.
Okay. Good point. Cyanide, arsenic, lead, a few other things like that.
It's all natural.
I'm going to apologize.
Swallowtails are probably the most abundant butterfly where we grew up.
What kind?
Those spicebush.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd agree. I've seen a lot of those. Didn't know much about them, but I've seen them. I'm going to ask a question, Monarch Miracles. I don't know your name. I'd like to. Hey, Kay, welcome in. If you'd tell me, I hate to just address you as, hey, you. So I don't know who I'm speaking. If you give me a name, but I'd love to. Your input is more than not welcome. It's appreciated. You guys probably know a lot more about this than I do. Matt and Charlotte. Okay, Matt and Charlotte. I will try to remember that. Thank you. They said they've raised a few eastern black swallowtails. And what part of the United States? I'm not asking for your address, but what part of the United States are you in, or Canada, or wherever? Where do you guys live? So I'm gonna keep going, but I'm gonna be watching Matt and Charlotte for information over here on the side. Pennsylvania. Well, welcome in. We have connections. We all have connections here with Pennsylvania. Most of them are from days gone by.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. That sounds like a song. You can still remember. So anyway, those are mimic guys.
Here comes the K-Tel Records again.
Yeah, Tim and Mark's K-Tel. Okay. This guy is Batis polydamas, also known as the gold rim swallowtail. Some people call it the polydamas swallowtail or the tailless swallowtail. So they call it a tailless, but it's not. If you look at that one image, this image right here, you can see that there is a little tail right there, sort of like our tail. Vestigial. Yeah, say it right. So it's there, but it's not. You can't see it from the dorsal view, which is this image right here. But you can see why they call it the gold rim. It's got all this all along the lower rim of the wings and down across the tail, and they've got a little bit more here on the actual tail. I'm going to say a word. It's not intentional. It's not meant to be tail feathers. I'm just referring to their back part of their wing. It's not tail feathers. Musical squirrel. Oh, Tina, let me write that down. I might need to keep that in mind. Musical squirrel.
Trust me, you don't want us singing to you.
No, you don't want us to, but just thanks for the thought. Okay, let's see. This butterfly, Mark, was actually first described by a famous man who kind of invented this whole thing, Carl Linnaeus.
Oh, Mr. Linnaeus.
Mr. Linnaeus, the guy that made you and I have to memorize all those names from
All those gazillions of scientific names.
I wonder what he'd think about blender biologists today and changing all those names. I don't know, he'd probably be all for it. And that was his 10th edition of Systema Naturae, which was published in 1758. So this guy's been, the Gold Rim has been recognized for a long time. The adults generally have black wings, yellow markings, while the larval stage is mainly about consuming, again, acids from toxic plants to make themselves unpalatable to their predators. And they're mainly found in the neotropical region and and a lot of these butterflies that I'm going to get to today fall into that category. There's more of them in Mexico and the Caribbean, but they get up into South Texas and parts of Florida and maybe even up a little higher. I know some of them, maybe not this one, but some of the ones I'm talking about get up into Arizona. And they've even been further up than that, but it's very rare that you see them further. But some of these guys do move around. And these pictures, just for the record, this one right here is this is a mating posture, and this is what's going on here. So if you don't want to see butterfly sex, turn your head. But hopefully we all got, everybody got their slips in on time, so we can do that. And I don't know how well this shows up. This is a small image on my screen, but you can see the chrysalis of these butterflies, this particular swallowtail, and then the adults as they emerge from this. These guys are kind of tricky. And I guess I've always known this, but I wasn't sure. But to someone like me who doesn't study them, a lot of the chrysalises look pretty much the same on these butterflies. There's a few of them that don't, and there's a couple I'll show here in a minute in particular, if I get to them today. But a lot of them, and I'll show a close-up of one here in a minute, but they're kind of drab brown. They're neat looking in their own way, but you just look at them. But I'm sure people that know them can probably tell them apart regardless. Thank you guys for welcoming in Monarch Miracles, Matt and Charlotte. I'm going to write that down too so I don't forget it.
I hate to say this, but my whole day is made up of musical squirrels.
Who said that?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm writing here just for a moment. Charlotte, for some reason, I have one of Mom and Dad's best friends was named Charlotte, and I've always had trouble spelling that for some reason. Anyway, and that pretty much covers that guy. But these guys are in the Caribbean and South America, but they get up into Florida, South Texas, and maybe even a little further west, but mostly they're more neotropical, so they probably don't get to where it's too dry. Oh, I learned how to say this. Eurytides celadon. Huh?
No, you didn't.
Well, I thought I did, but now I have to do it in public, so it's not as easy to say. Eurytides celadon is close enough. It's a dead language. I can say it everywhere I want to. Or the Cuban swallowtail, or the celadon swallowtail. I misspelled swallowtail. As you can see, there's quite a bit more color on it. Well, quite a bit more white. More of a mix. I don't know if I'd say more color. These guys, let's see if I have anything. Occasional strays, they get up into the Florida Keys and then sometimes on up into Florida. And they're usually flying around from between July to October. They have 2 generations of them per year. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Its host plant is believed to be something I can't pronounce. A nectarine, maybe? Nectandra corsica. Corsia. So I'm not sure what that is, unless that's a nectarine. Similar one. This is the Mexican kite swallowtail. I only had one picture of it, but you can look how long its tails are. I mean, they're really predominant. Very plain white though. Most of these butterflies, the coloration is by and large camouflage. So for a butterfly to be that color, I'm sure there's a good reason for it. That's what it hangs around in, is probably that color. I'm pouring coffee, sorry. That's what the coffee bears. You know, pretty important. Let's see if I have anything special about him. They feed only on, again, they have very specific feeding habits. Now, there's 3 subspecies of these guys, and I'm not going to go into that. It has a lot to do with where they actually live, but they're all in the same range, which makes it tricky. Probably the time I get around to doing this again, if I live that long, it'll probably be 14 names. So anyway, there's that guy. And then we got this guy, who is called the dark zebra swallowtail, or dark kite swallowtail. Again, I think the long tail has a lot to do with that. And if you look, the shape's a little different too on these kite swallowtails with that subname or partial name. And I thought I labeled these. I didn't. This is a male and a female. And then this is males. I didn't know this, Mark. Maybe you did. I was going to talk about this. We'll talk about it now. A lot of these butterflies do what they call puddle. And they literally will go fly to the ground, and they'll be around puddles of water, something that's muddy. And one of the things that attracts them is urine. So if you've got like deer species wander in the woods and you walk up on a spot and it's covered with butterflies, it could be a spot where they've been urinating on a regular basis. And they're getting nutrients from that, different metals and things that waste products of the mammal that they don't need get, the insect world gets it and eats it up and uses it and keeps recycling. These guys are mostly in Texas and then beyond south of that. Let me see if I've got anything here in particular. Scent scales produce a number of filaments. No, nothing really. I don't have anything special. Don't know the plant exactly, but they will puddle. Mark, I know, has seen this a lot. You can tell. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen them do it around an actual deer rub where but I've seen it. You can just kind of tell once you learn that trick that something's going on there. But they puddle to draw stuff out of the moist soil, and but that's almost always the males. I don't know if the females do this very often. This is mainly a male trait, according to what I'm learning and reading.
Well, like out here, in the summertime, there'll be, we'll have the very occasional rain, and there'll be puddles in the road, and every pronghorn on the planet comes to visit those puddles to drink.
True.
Hang about and, do whatever. And they're always just covered with butterflies. Of various creatures, mostly the little guys, but skippers and
I don't get into skippers today, but skippers are like the next. They're one of the bigger.
We could talk about this subject for just a
Years.
different subspecies and things, literally for years.
And that's why, as I went down through there, I thought, well, maybe I just need to throw pictures
You
of the
don't need to
common
list
names.
all the subspecies, buddy.
I'm trying not to. That's why I'm not breaking these down. I'm talking about it, but I'm not breaking them down into that. They're out there. Just be known that they're out there. And then we got a red-sided swallowtail, and this is also a red-sided, believe it or not, down in the lower corner. That may be the female. And they do vary. They actually name it the variable swallowtail, so it changes names a little bit. And it's native to the Americas in general. I was trying to see if there was anything in particular about the spots, but you can see the difference in those two. But that's, to me, it's almost a drab. I mean, even though these colors, these bright reds or oranges, whatever they are I guess it's red. They say red-sided. That's colorful, but to me, it's kind of a drab butterfly. I wish they'd put a dorsal, or not a dorsal, but a anterior view or whatever of these guys. I'd like to see the other side of them to see if it's any different. They may be just black on the other side. Some of them they flip. Some of them are bright on the bottom and dark on top, and some of them are colorful on top and not on the other. Here we have the ruby spotted swallowtail, or some people call this red spotted swallowtail, but you can look at the difference in the spots compared to this guy, which has spots all the way around these. I'm going to call this the tail part of their wing. It's still part of their wing, but the tail section of the wing, the rear part of the wing. And you can see here that there's 3 or 4 spots, maybe 5, but they're concentrated. They don't spread out. And the butterfly itself is, the wing structure is just different. And I'm not going to get into all that either. But let's see if there's anything. They have teeth, somewhat longer. Oh, let's talk about the tail.
And it's on an orange jewelweed. That one is.
That up here it is. Yeah, I was trying to read if it mentioned. I don't know if it's mentioning what they feed on, but
what a great plant. Maybe it gets in the nettles.
Some of those what?
Maybe that butterfly gets in the stinging nettle and then has to get the orange jewelweed to kill the
It could be. I learned once I learned the jewelweed trick. Stinging nettle wasn't quite so bad. It's not always there, but it certainly is helpful. I don't know if you got. It's not really teeth, Tina. I mean, they may have, but what it was really describing.
Teeth.
No, they were talking about teethy, the shape of the wing as being toothy. Leaves are described that way also, and that's why I said I shouldn't have said teeth, but
like on a saw.
Like on a saw. Yeah, think about teeth on a saw, kind of. It's just, yeah. What he said. I had another thought in my mind though before I saw that. Oh, well, what you said about jewelweed is because that's where you find these guys, is along river banks and creek banks, and so that makes sense that they would be on a jewelweed.
So I got in the darndest patch of stinging nettles. They were like 12 feet tall over in Nebraska.
Oh, geez.
And I scrambled around looking for jewelweed, and none. I was on fire, man.
That is sad. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a stinging nettle, but think about a briar patch, but almost invisible. And that it's not as obvious until you get in it, unless you start, you learn to look for it. But that stuff has got like little tiny filaments or hairs on it. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is how I thought they always did it. And when you get into that, they break off in your skin and they burn. Oh my goodness, they burn. Itch or burn, whatever you want to call it. But the way you can fix it is if you find jewelweed, you can break a stem of jewelweed off and kind of squeeze the juice out of it and rub it on your arm or the place where they got you, and
it's gone.
it's gone. But you got to have the two together, otherwise you suffer like he was just talking about. And they do. Oh, they're. I don't like that. You won't like it. It's not. And you're going, and when you're a kid, you come out of the creek somewhere and you're got on nothing but your cut off jeans because you've been swimming, and you walk through a patch of that stuff, and then you'll never forget it. Usually after that, you're not going to forget stinging nettle.
Yeah, plant defenses are amazing.
They are. We should talk about that sometime too. That's a good one right there. Stinging nettle. They
think the reason that Osage orange has got spikes all over it, spiky limbs, and is because of mastodons eating the fruit.
Really?
Yeah.
So it goes back that far.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's
Which
any
isn't
record
really that far back, but they think.
Well, true.
They think.
But I wonder if there's any sign that
honey locust and Osage orange, both were.
I wonder if that holds true for. I don't know if you guys have this out there. The pear tree that's now domesticated. Everybody's got it in their yards. I hate them. I can't think of what they call them, but when they're wild, they grow thorns like that too. But I don't know if they grew in mastodon country. I don't know if we had well, we had something back here though. Of course, things moved around.
Yeah, mastodons.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe I wonder if that's because of that too, because that's definitely an old plant that would have been around probably then too. And again, it grew fruit, and it may be that it is a defense mechanism on any tree, but I wonder if it could be dated back to mastodon predation. That's in Bradford pear. Thank you, Kay. Thank you. That's the domestic name. The original wild name is a calipear or something starts with a C. No, not a kumquat, Tina. I don't know what that looks like growing, honestly. Bradford pear is what I was thinking about, because down here and probably a lot of places they plant them. Oh, they came out. They made what they did was botanists cross pollinated or what's the other word where you tie branches together and then they grow. Grafted these two trees together until they got some that were thornless, because these things are like honey locust or the
bodark
that Mark just mentioned, and they're thorny. I mean, very thorny. The stem, as in the trunk of the tree, and the limb. I mean, these things get really. They look like some kind of torture device. And would be if you got thrown in one. Think about that prayer patch that the rare fox didn't want to get thrown into, and think about these guys. These are worse than blackberry thickets any day. And
Charlotte and Matt, this is what we would refer to, and I'm good at getting us off on these tangents. This is a squirrel.
Yeah, this is a squirrel.
We're chasing a squirrel.
So, but anyway, so much for that. Now you know. Plant defense mechanisms 101. Cal, I'm going to look that up, Tina and Kay. I'm going to find the name for that in a minute, the wild name for it. But anyway, they grow and they look white and they stink, and then they get real brittle and they break in your yard and you have to replace them. I just don't like them. Anyway, most people I knew that were foresters, they hated those things.
And it couldn't be like a good fruit. It had to be a pear, and they grow all over.
Well, and that's the thing about
the pears.
That's the thing about Bradford pears. At least down here, they're everywhere now because they're windblown seed, And you drive by a field around here, and especially like around Knoxville, where there was lots of planted and subdivisions and whatnot, and they'll be covered up with those things.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about that is, this is a squirrel, but I'm chasing it anyway. After a couple of generations of that in the wild, those things grow their thorns back.
Yeah.
So you might have a nice, pretty white flowered tree out there that you think's just like the one in your backyard, and you might go out and grab you a handful of something. You might grab it, pull it back real quick, because it doesn't take them long to return to their roots, if you will.
Squirrel number 3.
Yep, squirrel number 3. All right, this is a. I did that thing I hate to do. I'm not even going to say the name of this, the scientific name this time, but it's the Bahamian swallowtail. Again, these are southern species that are in the Florida Keys and parts of like Texas, maybe along the Gulf Coast, but don't necessarily get up where we all live, or most of us live. But neat looking butterfly. I mean, it's got a lot of light colors, but then again, you see this. Is it anterior, Mark?
The front wing?
The bottom, the bottom view of something. Is that anterior?
Ventral.
Ventral. The ventral view, or the bottom view, like you can see all the coloration. And again, on the top, what you see over here to the side, not quite as much color. So that is, again, comes into defense and all kinds of stuff like that. These guys aren't as common down there, but they are. When you get further south, you get the more of these you see. I thought this is a cool one. This is the golden swallowtail, queen page or queen swallowtail. And look at that ventral view of that one. It's this one right here. Here, am I circling it?
You are. The one that's just the underside's yellow.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, look how yellow that whole underside is. And I mean, that's, to me, that's
We used to paint
interesting.
vehicles that color back in the 70s.
Yeah, true. But look at the top. I mean, the top's got
Totally
much more
different.
camo colored. I mean, if you think about it, broken up color. It's got, you know, splotches on the wings and on the back part of the wing, and I don't know, it's just kind of neat looking. But that bottom is, boom, here I am, and that's a male, by the way. This less colored one over here on the lower right is the female. Look how much she has, hardly any color on top. This one on the left bottom is actually a, let me get the right word here. It possesses both male and female phenotypes.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So it's kind of mixed up and probably can go either way. But that's not really that uncommon in parts of the insect world and some other critters. But so it's got what they call a chimera effect of the sex chromosomes that cause it to do this. And it's just interesting. That's a whole different looking butterfly, but it's this guy right here. Just a little mixed up inside. What does that sound like? We might have a new record this week. You think so, Tina? Well, I got sad news for you. We're not, because that's where I stopped today. And I came up with this picture. So I didn't want to, I couldn't go. I ran out of time, is what happened. Yesterday, I got derailed when Phil called me. I've got to.
So so this is what we're going to talk about, Mono. The one.
What?
Your thumbnail was monarch butterflies, and we haven't talked about them yet.
Well, I didn't get to them, but I put them here. And we will.
They're beautiful.
And we will. And we're going to talk about what's the coolest thing I think about them is their migration. I mean,
we have them migrating out here way up on the mountain you'll see gazillions of them. And
think about how far that flight is from Mexico up to your country.
yeah,
I mean,
and
that's pretty impressive.
it's like
And,
there's critters that make that migration annually that, as far as I'm concerned, can barely fly. Like rails, the bird, the rail.
I've never really watched them
if you've
fly.
ever flushed one of those, it's like, well, come on, you need some lift or you're not going to make it very far. But we'll have big migrations of monarchs, and there's always a few viceroys mixed in,
and Matt or Charlotte or St. Matt and Charlotte, we'll just say, are saying that those guys are up there and they migrate, but they don't always end up in the same place. So they may never have been there before. They are this year. And if they can find the right plants and survive, then they'll, lay out a new generation to head south next year. So you guys, Matt and Charlotte, you guys are do monarch work.
And releasing and
yeah. And I mean,
making sure they keep the population going.
Right. But I get what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say here? I don't know. Have you guys in your personal, have you studied migration patterns? Are you very familiar with some of that and how they move? I mean, I'm like Mark a little bit. Butterflies never seem like the kind of critter with the stamina and the flying ability, to be honest, to make it all the way to Mexico. Charlotte raises about 500 a year. Wow.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's cool. Very cool. I guess they've got some kind of, for lack of a better term, radio collar they're putting on these monarchs now, and like actually defining it's not a radio collar. It's like
I know,
but it's transmitters that they're actually tracking where these critters are going annually, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. This isn't really a squirrel because Mark just mentioned it, so I'm going to bring it up. That's fascinating because in our lifetime, and you and I both know people who did this, the idea of a radio collar on a migrating animal, bird, whatever, was new and difficult and big and clumsy and awkward. And
I did it. I mean,
you did it, but I mean, you did it even after a couple of generations had been working.
Yeah, and they were still too big.
And they were still too big and clunky. Steve Cottrell tells the story sometimes about how he got some of the first ones that were ever put on wood ducks.
And he said, "I'm pretty sure was about that big."
Well, they tried to figure out how to mount them. They used like surgical rubber. And he said, "I'm pretty sure I killed 2 or 3 just trying to figure out how to put it on them." And
I was using, I don't remember how many grams a darn unit. It was a Telonix unit. They were great transmitters, but they were a little bit heavy, but everything was then.
Right.
I used like 1/4-inch bungee cord and would make it in a backpack mount. Now they've got it where they can like sew it to a tail feather,
I've seen that done.
A lot lighter. I did that with Apple falcons. The bird can actually function correctly.
Matt's saying that they put transmitters and tracked a few. Maybe they have, I don't know, but they also put stickers on them for tracking purposes. I guess
maybe that's what they're doing.
But they also said they put a transmitter of some sort on the body. So think about how small that has to be.
I mean, I've helped like our fish guys do internal transmitters on fish, and you're basic and on midget faded rattlesnakes, and you're basically injecting that into the animal with a needle. So
Right, like an ID.
tiny.
Like an
But the
ID
range
tag.
is not, they don't have any range, of course, because there's no external antenna.
Right. Yes, Carol. But I mean, to get down to that small and be able to do this kind of stuff, I mean, we're talking about
Miracle.
Well, we're talking about less than 50 years too, which in a way is a lifetime, but in other ways, I mean, the human race has been on this planet, I don't know how many million years now, or hundreds of thousands, whatever. And we didn't invent crap until the last couple hundred. And then in that time period, things just keep accelerating. And this is an example of that. I mean, the wireless transmitter was invented in 1900 something, or maybe the late 1800s by Marconi. And we've gone from that to satellite to, satellite transmitters and the size small enough that we can put on a butterfly. And even when we started doing this, the transmitters were, as you said, are still so big that, sometimes the bird couldn't carry them. Or they at least hindered their flight. You were putting them on turkeys. Well, you put them on turkeys later, but 50 years is a nanosecond. Yeah, it is, Tina. I get that. That's kind of where I'm getting at, because that nanosecond, so much has changed. I used to think that it was amazing that we had learned to fly in 1903, and by 1969 we were putting people on the moon. And that 70 years time span, roughly, we learned how to fly, and then we learned how to not just fly here when we took that to great levels, and then went on from that. And the same thing with radio transmitters and this kind of technology. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Matt and Charlotte, I would love that. If you guys want to do that, send me I don't know if you'll send me an email or a text, or not a text, but a message in chat. I have an Instagram chat under Tennessee Saturday Morning Shine, right? And I have a Tennessee Bear address here on my YouTube. If you send me a note, or Carol or anybody one, and get it to me by the time we get around to doing Monarchs, I would love to have you guys come in and sit in with us. That would be fantastic. And that would, show just what an idiot I am sometimes. Well, 600 years ago, we thought, let me see what Tina's saying. 600 years ago, the world was flat in the center of the, well, that's true. It's not. So what you're telling me, Tina, is it's not flat. You're really confusing me now. That would be great, Matt and Charlotte. I'd love to do that. By all means, I will. We'll be in contact. That's going to be 2 or 3 weeks away. And if you want to do that, I'll get with you and we'll schedule a time when it's good for you guys. Because I would love to do that. Make that happen. Which brings me up to another topic. I have talked to, oh man, that just reminds me, boom, I'm going to have to change that. Got in touch with Dave Harrell this week. He called me looking for Mark again, which you should have gotten an email from him, by the way.
I did. I haven't opened it yet, but
that's from him. Here. So anyway, he's gonna come on in a week or two. He was gonna come on next week, but since I'm not gonna be here, I'll have to change that. I just remembered that. And he wants to do some fly tying online, or with us. I'm not sure what he's. Thank you, Carol. I don't ever send myself stuff, so I wasn't sure how to do that. But Dave's going to come on, and he's going to tie some flies for us. He's doing that today. He's teaching a class this morning about that for the Trout Unlimited, Clinch River Trout Unlimited group. And if that doesn't work, Matt, let me know. I'll be more than happy to put my regular. I guess I can put my email in here. Hell, everybody knows it anyway. Now, Matt, that should get you there if nothing else does. Anyway, Dave's going to come on and tie some flies. I don't know. He's got something in mind in particular. I'm not sure what it is yet, and that could change before he gets on. He may find something new, but he wants to do that. So I'm going to set him up. So in next week or two, we're going to do some fly tying and talk about that. And then I suspect that sometime in the next month or month and a half, maybe 2 months, we're going to have a sit down. Mark and I will have Dave Harrell back on, and hopefully his friend, my friend, former co-worker for me, Shannon O'Quinn, and we're going to talk about cutthroat trout fishing in Wyoming, because those guys want to go trout fishing so bad in Wyoming. It says you are following us on Instagram. I will send you a message. Okay. Anyway, hang on a minute. And I think I'll try to get both of them on at one time, and we'll talk about not that trip, but just fishing in general, and why they want to come out there and fish for cutthroat, and what a big deal it is Dave wants to do this, but apparently Shannon, this is sort of a lifelong dream to come out and catch cutthroat trout. And ever how long this Grand Slam thing has been going on, he's wanted to come out and do that. And so we're going to talk about that.
Cut Slam.
Yeah, the Cut Slam. That's it. I couldn't remember the name of it the other day.
Yeah, I can help them with 3 of them. And then they got to go get chased by grizzly bears.
Well, that would be interesting. If the earth was really flat, don't you think cats would knock everything off of it already? Absolutely, they would. Oh, yeah, John, that'll be right up your alley, buddy. Dave, and you can look Dave up on, I'll give you his Facebook address. I'll just send him out to the whole world. Bear with me a moment. You can go to his Facebook page, John, and look at some of the fishing he's been doing recently.
He's enjoying the heck out of retirement.
Yeah, retirement for Dave has been going well. I'll just tell you that right now. I think Dave's getting a much better deal out of his than I got out of mine. Mine kind of fell apart as soon as I started it. John, here is an address, Facebook address. And if you go to this, you can see what Dave's been up to lately. He's been catching. You probably see a lot of other stuff maybe you won't care about, but if you go down through here far enough, he's been going to music.
Dave into a hider.
He has been going to music festivals. He's got pictures posted of bonefish and what do you call them? Tiger reds, the big ones. So yeah, he's got some stuff on there. You might have to sort through some things. Okay, thanks, Matt. I'll look at that and I'll answer you back later today, and then down the road we'll set something up. And I really appreciate you offering to do that. That means a lot to me because I'm sure you guys are more knowledgeable about it than I am. I have a lot of biology stuffed in here, but sometimes it don't all come out, and it wasn't always about butterflies. So I might be able to tell you a lot about something else, but might not be able to tell you anything about butterfly. But I'm trying. Anyway, John, check that out. And so Dave's going to be with us, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of his fishing exploits of late, and post a few of his pictures. And but then Shannon and him are going to be here later, so that'll be fun. I think that'll make for some interesting show. Let me see what I've missed. Oh, let me knock Brenda off there. I will post this on here, but you guys can all see it. That link, if you didn't see it, it's on there. It's on in the chat. Dave's an interesting character. Dave and I used to discuss really intellectual things, setting up around at lunch, like hiders, fishing, the training etiquette for a bluegill. Just things that didn't matter to anybody but us, probably at that particular moment in time. Dave and I spent a lot of time on boats together. We used to do a lot of shoreline work and inspection work and things like that together. So we always had times on a boat where we had some time to talk or sitting around eating a sandwich. So we talked about books and writing and writing and music, and Dave's really into his music. I'm really glad to see he's getting back into that, going to festivals. I think there for a while he sort of took a break from that. Dave was a big Grateful Dead fan, and I just noticed that one of the things he's posted on his web page. I don't know if anybody else in here has followed the Grateful Dead. Oh, I know who that is. That's his son singing. That's cool. But he's got a picture of Jerry Garcia and what's the other guy's name? Bob Weir, who just passed away recently. And those were like the two main guys with the Grateful Dead. So if you're into Grateful Dead music or that kind of music, which I didn't think I was many years ago, and then I learned that I've listened to a lot of that kind of music, and it's kind of freestyle. If you go to one of their concerts, which I've never done, and there's lots of bands around the country now that emulate them or imitate them, or maybe emulate's a better word, but anyway, jam band type music. They just, they may get started on a song, but then before you know it, the different guys that play guitar, like, guitar gods, they'll run and they'll just create something entirely new. It's quite amazing. As Dave told me once, he said, music is magic. He said, there's magic in music. So, and dancing, he liked to dance too. That was back in his long hair days. So, although I think he's probably letting that grow back out.
It was a national day of mourning with my clan.
Oh, I bet.
Weir passed, and
that's
and,
what went
and way back when Jerry left.
Passed, yeah. When did Weir die? It's been in the last couple of weeks, hasn't it?
I think it was just this last week.
Yeah, that's what I knew. It was recent, but I missed it when it happened. And then Dave was telling me about it, because Dave was telling me the very same thing. He said, I've been in mourning. He said, Bob Weir died. And I said, no, I actually didn't know that. So, but I knew who it was. I mean, because Dave's talked about him for years. Dave used to go to after Garcia died, Bob Weir and company, whoever was still running with him, and people who joined him at different times were still doing Grateful Dead concerts and music and all that. And Dave used to go to some of those. And then there was a group called something Buffalo. Oh crap! I just had it. It was just on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, he used to do a lot of that kind of stuff. He used to go to several a year, go to festivals. I'm almost surprised Mark he hadn't been out your way.
Yeah, there's scattered around the Rockies. There's a
sure, yeah, all the time.
Colorado's got all kinds of stuff going all the time, and
that musical festival in Kemmerer. What kind of music are they playing now? That's changed over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a kind of bluegrassy. And
Yeah.
it's I don't know, as other people have become involved, it's kind of morphed into, there's still some bluegrass bands and then others.
Buffalo Springfield, John. And I want to know, not Springsteen, Buffalo Springfield, not, but no. Buffalo Springfield goes way back. This is something else. This is something Buffalo. Actually, I think Buffalo is the second word. Hang on. Now I'm going to have to find it.
Dead Buffalo.
Rat Dog is what Bob Weir called the band that they traveled around in after Garcia died. Or at least that's one of the names of it anyway.
Uh-oh.
What's wrong?
They're speaking of evil contraptions, snow shovels.
Oh no, not that. Please not. But you can outsmart that because you've got a truck, you got a little thing to drive.
Yeah.
Oh, he's advertising for equipment, fly fishing equipment. He may have a sponsor. He's one up on us. Yeah, there's Tiger. You have to go down a ways, John, but you can get to those Tiger Reds. Anyway.
Bull Red.
Bull Red. Where am I getting Tiger?
I don't know.
Thank you, Matt and Charlotte, for stopping in. Thanks for your input, and I look forward to seeing you here on the show one day soon. And thanks for the offer. I really appreciate that. We're getting in a few hours, Matt. Not much in it. So I was talking about snow now. Yeah, and be safe up there. If you're getting snow, then be careful doing that. Oh, John, you got me. I got to find that music. Hang on just 1 minute. I'll never find it. Oh, here's a list. Maybe I can. Yeah, Buffalo's the second name. Man, there are a lot of bands that do this kind of music. I didn't. Donna the Buffalo. That's the name. Donna the Buffalo. And there's a story behind that. Dave told me once. I can't remember it. And he used to listen to a lot of their music, and they're pretty good. I mean, it's a folksy kind of jam band sort of stuff, but it's not rock and roll. John, he said somebody corrected him. We're getting in a few. I'm trying to catch up with Chad here a minute.
Hey,
anyway, Dave used to follow them, and they were big Grateful Dead type. If you went to one of their concerts or festivals, it was kind of like going to see the Grateful Dead. I mean, they were, and I do remember this. They came to Knoxville a few times. They'd have like out front, they'd have, micro buses out there with hippies in them. Our age hippies or my age hippies, and they'd be selling tie-dye T-shirts and stuff. Hey, Dave's Disney Dreams, welcome in, buddy. Oh, he's on his phone. The computer's been doing an update for the last 4 hours. That does not sound good, John. Anyway,
that means
I better get.
You hit the ignore button regularly.
Yeah.
Not now, dang it. Leave me alone.
Not right now. Please, not right now. Well, enjoy the football game today. Anybody else that's going to be doing that. And snow shoveling, if that's what you're going to be doing. I know that's a hard one to enjoy, but
I bet Tina watches.
I'm going to watch. I'm planning on watching. At least I think I will. I'm planning on it.
Give Josh the ball.
Just give Josh the ball. Like I said, next week, look for me to be live from Florida, but I'll let you guys know. I'll put something out somewhere. I'll have a computer with me. I'll take a computer with me, so I'll be able to send out a text or a message, and I'll post it in the chat online in the Facebook, or not Facebook, but the Instagram. I need to make that a Facebook page too. Or is that an automatic thing? I never have even looked. It may be. Go Niners. Who are they playing? I didn't even know they were playing today or this weekend. I forgot about that. I can't remember who they are playing. Go Pokes.
Go Pokes.
I think the Pokes are through for the year, though. Thank you, Carol. You're too kind, because I know it's been a hodgepodge. Well, Josh is, yes. I get that. But never mind. That's true.
I still love seeing the fans in the stands at Buffalo.
Wearing Wyoming stuff.
About half the people got on Wyoming stuff, and about half the people Buffalo stuff.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And since Indiana's Monday night, I hope they do well. What'd you say?
I'm glad to be seen.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Love y'all for showing up. Like I said, next week I probably won't be here. Not planning on it, but I might try to do something live from Daytona Speedway, or at least somewhere in Florida. Maybe getting there, but I'll be doing something. And then I'll see you guys a week after that. And then soon we're going to have a couple things going on. Dave's going to be here one weekend. I think Dave and Shannon will be here one weekend. Monarch Miracles, is that their name? Will be here one weekend, I hope, one Saturday. And we'll talk about monarch butterflies. And from somebody who really knows something about it. Yeah, Monarch Miracles. So I'm looking forward to that. And but everybody else, go have a great weekend. Thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. Pardon me for the disconnects and and being confused at times, but that's just life in Tim's head these days. So anyway, have a great weekend.
If you got a few minutes, stop by. I got to go feed horses now. So.
All right.
Just swing on in.
Swing on by. You got a bale of hay or a bucket of feed you can carry.
You can keep me company while I'm
But if I was out there, I'd be glad to. And sometime later this year, I hope to be out there. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, guys. Have a great day. See you guys later. And I'm hitting that button. So here we go. The stream is now ending.
Later.